It is Thursday, the 24th day of March 2022, and the NFL has gone completely fucking bonkers. Since we last spoke about 10 days ago, all kinds of shit has gone down. All kinds of shit. Russell Wilson traded to the Broncos. Devontae Adams traded to Oakland, LA, Oakland, Vegas. Deshaun Watson traded to Cleveland for some odd fucking reason. Guaranteed money. Carson Wentz traded to Washington. Matt Ryan traded to Indy. Allen Robinson signing with the Rams. Tyreek Hill traded to the Dolphins, and a shit ton more. Woo-hoo! Wow, seriously, all these guys moving all over the place, collecting fat stacks of money. Good for you, fellas. That's how it should be done. Moving all over the place. And what's Bill Belichick and the Patriots doing? Well, Malcolm Butler came back. So that's good, right? That's cool. I read today that if they continue on the same trend of not dipping into extensions or anything like that for next season, they'll have somewhere in the neighborhood of $85 million in cap space next year. Now, I don't know how accurate that is, but the prevailing wisdom is that the cap isn't really a thing, but we all know that it kind of is, not entirely, but kind of. It's the real money, the bonuses, the upfronts, all that crap that some teams are just dying to part with in order to bring a lot of these guys in. And then there's teams that like to operate within a budget, and that's your New England Patriots. You see, for 20 years, they operated within the same budget. It's just that they had the greatest of all time at quarterback. So it afforded them the luxury of bringing in guys on the cheap to play with that quarterback. It also didn't hurt that said quarterback was not the breadwinner of his own household. So he wasn't out trying to get every dime that he could. I say that, sort of tongue-in-cheek, but, I think that might have something to do with it. But close to every team in the conference is better than they were at season's end. And while we're not even close to having complete teams, it's a safe bet in my mind to take the under on what I think might be an 8.5 win total for this season for the New England Patriots. We'll see. And I don't even really think it's because they've gotten worse. I think they have slightly. The secondary's not as good. I think the offensive line will be fine. They'll bring in someone to replace Shaq Mason, but I mean they re-signed Trent Brown. They have Mike Onwenu to kind of slide into Mason's spot if they want, but they need a center. Ted Karras left. So I'm curious to see how this plays out, but I don't really think they're going to be worse as a team. I think it's just that everyone else around them has gotten better. And so, they're continuing to rebuild, and then hopefully next year they'll go in and kind of be a bit smarter with their money than they were last offseason, when they brought in a bunch of guys who didn't perform. So hopefully, I don't know, hey, look, stranger things have happened. I don't know what else, but, stranger things have happened. All that and more on episode number 112. The one where I'm back after a vacation. That's all right here, right now on Complaints and Observations.
Still, the most less than average podcast on the internet. With a host who's the smartest person in the room when he's the only one there. A continuing odyssey into mediocrity, guaranteed to make you question your life choices and your own sanity. This is Complaints and Observations with Dave LaPointe. the hell is Dave LaPointe?
I think he's a bum. I think he's an absolute bum.
Fair warning, these episodes where I've taken a break for whatever reason, the ones where I come back are typically awful. Which kind of sucks, because you would think that I have enough sort of content built up, and I'm raring to go and energetic and looking to you know enjoy doing the show. And it's not because it's not a matter of not enjoying doing the show. It's a matter of just being slow for some reason. I don't understand why. Right now, it's because I'm pretty sure that I gained like 15 pounds in the course of the last 2 weeks, so I am just simply dragging ass. But enough about me. How are you? You doing well? Everything good? How's the family? Okay? Good, great, grand. Glad to hear it. As I mentioned in the open, holy fuck, huh? Yowzer. Shit's gone bananas. Shit's gone bananas. It's funny, today, I'm watching the Pat McAfee show on the YouTube. When Tyreek Hill gets traded, I'm like, holy fuck, that moved quick. The rumor went out there, and like 10 minutes later, boom, there it is. He's traded. He's traded to Miami for a haul. The thing is, right, I think it's a good deal for both sides, really, because the Dolphins just got an all-pro wide receiver for a bunch of draft picks. And the draft is kind of a crapshoot. Kansas City got a big number off their books, and they're very good when it comes to the draft. So now they have a shitload of more picks and will probably take a receiver to kind of try to fill in a little bit. Maybe not. Who knows? Maybe they'll sign somebody. We'll see. But it's very interesting. I mean, the AFC West was loaded. I mean, honestly, that's appointment viewing all season long. Divisional matchups in the AFC West. Holy fuck. That's going to be fun. They're going to beat the piss out of each other. You're going to see 42-40 scores when those teams get together. And it's going to be, like I said, it's going to be a blast. But I think the Chiefs just got a touch worse. So I'm curious to see how that plays out, which is a phrase that I realized today that I say quite a bit. Curious to see how this plays out or that plays out or whatever. I don't know if that's a crutch of some kind, but weird. So as I mentioned, coming back from a vacation, I was in Las Vegas last week, which is why I did not record an episode. And as I figured, I was not going to be putting out any sort of content whatsoever when I was in Vegas. And it's not because I was like shit faced or doing all kinds of fun shit. I'm just lazy. That's it. Just fucking flat out, plain old lazy. The funny part is, I had never been. I think this was like my 10th time in Las Vegas, 9th or 10th time. And this was the first time that I've been out there. Actually, I shouldn't say that. I think it was probably this. It might have been the second time. I don't know. But it was the busiest I have ever fucking seen that town. I mean, it was a fucking zoo. Especially Thursday, Friday. And obviously because Thursday was St. Patrick's Day and the first day of the NCAA men's basketball tournament. So Thursday, Friday, Saturday, just gross. The number of people, just fucking awful. But, before I get into like the real nitty gritty, if you will, again with the fucking plane, okay? I can't for the life of me figure out how, like, shit always happens on the plane. And it's because shit that happens on the plane is not everyday shit. You know what I mean? So it's not as if, I shouldn't say that. Everyday occurrences on an airplane are far different than just everyday occurrences. I don't know if you follow me, but you will hopefully shortly. So there was an incident on the plane. I wouldn't even call it an incident. It wasn't that. There was a woman 2 rows in front of me who spilled her coffee. She got a coffee and she spilled it. You would have thought that anthrax was released on the plane accidentally, because there were 3 flight attendants tending to this woman, cleaning up, moving shit around. People had to get up out of the fucking seat so that they could get in and clean it. They, full gloves. These broads were gloved up. Giant trash bags, and giant rolls of what looked like the old school, those fucking giant spools of recycled paper towel that it doesn't actually suck up anything. It's completely fucking useless. All it does is move liquid around. And boy, honestly, the amount of attention that they spent to clean this fucking thing up, there has to be some reason that they had to jump into action to clean up a coffee spill. And they ended up like moving somebody's seat. Like the person that spilled it was in the middle seat of this row. And the person who was in the aisle ended up switching seats with somebody for whatever reason. I don't know exactly why. But it was like, holy shit. I was waiting for like a doctor to show up because I didn't really know what it was. I didn't know it was a coffee spill until they were pretty much done. But man, I thought someone was having like a heart attack or something. There was just a lot of activity, and I didn't know what it was. Oh, fuck. Oh. See what I mean? Dragging ass. All right, I'm yawning on the show. But of course, there are other things. So there was an issue taking off. First, there was a delay leaving, like a half hour, 40-minute delay. Then we all pile into the plane. There's an even further delay. Oh, this was after they changed gates, changed planes, whole 9 yards, sitting on the plane. And the pilot comes on. He feels a need. He has to fill us in, right? You got to tell us what's going on. And I don't know if anybody else feels this way, but it always feels to me as if anything the pilot is saying, he's making it up. Like the weather when you're landing. Because it's always like, the stupid pilot voice. Right now in Las Vegas, it's 65 degrees and 9 miles an hour wind coming out of the southwest. Local time, 5:22. Thank you for flying. Ciao. But like, so we're waiting for the fucking plane to take off, and he comes on to let us know there's a slight something being fixed. He's like, there's a problem with the Scudetto unit that controls the Barriato rod, and once we get that taken care of, we'll be ready to go. Thank you for your patience and understanding. It's always a thing. And then there's always the hardo who feels the need to fucking comment loudly after every pilot announcement. Yeah, well, maybe if you fixed it earlier. Maybe if you were here on time. Maybe if your mother had a fucking abortion, we would have left by now. There's always that guy. Always that guy on a plane. Never fails. It could be something totally innocuous. The pilot could come on and say, the sun is out. Yeah, well, that's because there's no clouds in the sky, buddy. Just fucking button it up. Nobody wants to hear fucking anything on an airplane. Nothing. You're there to sit down, shut up, and wait to get to where you're going. That's it. That's all. Seriously. There's nothing else to it. So as I mentioned, Vegas was was very full. I think that's the best way to describe it. It was nice in a way because it represented like a little bit of a pre-COVID sort of thing. Nobody really seemed to give two fucks about COVID, which, quite honestly was a bit refreshing. So, there were people wearing masks inside of the various hotels, which is fine. Look, I don't blame them, not one bit. The only time I had a mask on was in the airport and on the plane. But I can certainly understand why somebody would want to continue wearing a mask in a public setting, especially in a place that is as filthy as Las Vegas, Nevada. And I say that because it seemed to me that it was a bit dirtier than usual. Usually it's a little dirty because it's generally a dirty place, but it just felt a little dirtier for some reason. I don't know. Maybe I think it was just me because I'm the only one that has vocalized that complaint. So I don't really think it was. I don't know. It wasn't a disaster by any stretch. But one thing that's sort of in contrast to that is that I didn't see as many homeless people as I'm accustomed to on the strip. Now, of course, there were some. That's a given. But it just didn't seem to me as if there were as many as usual. I don't know. I don't know what that was. I don't know if they've tried to move some of these folks along or if they're actually doing something to help them. I doubt it. But maybe they are. Who knows? I don't want to speak ill. But maybe they are. I don't know. But there's still too much shit closed. Like, for example, we went to Caesars, and there's a really nice little food court inside of Caesars. And one of the things that they have is a halal guys. Now, if you're familiar with halal guys, it's basically just chicken, rice, and bread. It's delicious. Used to get it all the time at Wayfair when I was working there. And I saw on Caesar's website that it was one of the locations at the food court, and I was fucking pumped. We just happened to be at Caesar's one night, and I'm like, fuck, I'm going halal, guys. Let's fucking go. I get there, and it's closed. It wasn't the only closed thing. There were about 3 or 4 other stalls within that food court that were also closed. And I don't know what the deal is. I don't know how much shit is still closed, but there are things that are still closed, like the Palms, still closed. My assumption is that they're doing work in there. I don't know. One thing that's not is the new Resorts World, casino, hotel, etc., etc. Beautiful place. Absolutely beautiful. However, don't fucking sit down and play cards because they're going to fuck you. In fact, they make, they'll shut up, you fucking idiot. I lost a ton of money. All right. Playing fucking blackjack. Just, the kind of bullshit that when you're playing like video blackjack, it was like that. If you've ever played video blackjack, you know how fucking screwed you get playing that game. And you're like, oh, I got a 20 against a 6, no problem. And then all of a sudden they get a 21. Shit like that happened way too often sitting at this fucking table. Twice. We played there twice. But other than that, the place was fantastic. Absolutely gorgeous building. Not the best spot. It's next to Circus Circus. So it's at the end of the strip. Which again, totally fine. Totally fine. And then my buddy Matt was under the impression that there was a casino at the Trump International Hotel, whatever. Well, there's no casino in there. It did have a Trump shop that Matt had to buy some goodies at, including a bag of Trump candies, which I won't lie, were very tasty. So good on you, Trump people, for procuring some really nice, gummied candy. It was enjoyable. It was, they had like a family display of Trump apparel, which was just flat out fucking hilarious. Like what the fuck? What are you doing? Here's a whole family of preppy Trump supporters, which look probably not that far from the truth. The best part about that visit, though, was the weird bathroom attendant who, when I asked, yeah, there's no casino in there, is there? Casino? There's no fucking casino here. And then proceeded to say that he was drinking a case of beer and a handle of wild turkey after he got out of work, manning the bathroom at the Trump International, which apparently they sell condos. You can buy a condo slightly off strip at the Trump what's it. The funny part about it is that you saw a couple of families that checked in or that were at the Trump building, and it made me think. I bet this guy, big Trump supporter, and he's super proud. He's going to take his wife and his kids to stay at the Trump, just so that he could say that he stayed at the Trump, so he could tell of his other Trump supporter friends who may not have had the pleasure. I could be dead wrong. This is a total assumption on my part, but that's my guess. My guess is that's how that went. Yeah, well, I took the wife and kids to stay at the Trump on the Strip. Because, of course, they have a Southern accent, right, David? Of course, right. When more likely they're from East Bridgewater. But the whole town was packed. I mean, it was fucking packed, and it made gambling a bit more difficult because, look, I'm poor, so I'm not going to spend $25 a hand on blackjack. I did once, and managed to keep a couple $100 going for a little while, but not very long. So, of course, they know there's a shit ton of people there, so every casino is going to jack up their minimums to try to make as much as they can, which is well within their rights. That's what they should be doing. But at the same time, they should be adjusting based on the time of day. There was a day, I want to say Saturday morning. We were leaving Saturday afternoon. So Saturday morning, I'm up. Maybe it was Friday morning. I can't remember. It was either Friday or Saturday morning, early. Like we're talking like 7 a.m. And we stayed at Harrah's, which I'll not do again. The thing about hotel rooms in Vegas is, you're not staying there to stay in the room, but you want the room to be okay, right? I wasn't really thrilled with this room. So the point of that is I was in the casino, $25 tables at fucking 7 a.m. Like, what the fuck are you doing? And you get 3 fucking tables there with dealers just standing there, twiddling their thumbs. Because who's sitting down to play $25 hands at 7 a.m.? Nobody. If they were $15 hands, I would have been all over. I would have sat down and given you $100, no problem. But nope, didn't want to do that. The fact that we were there for the tournament meant an all-out assault by all manner of drunk white guys. I mean, they were fucking everywhere. All with their various collegiate apparel. I saw a ton of Iowa represented, so it was nice to see them lose early. It was good. In Wisconsin, they didn't lose as early as Iowa, but they did lose over the weekend. And they seem to be the most, I don't want to say obnoxious, but maybe loud. The thing is, nobody was really outwardly obnoxious, which was nice. It's just that there were fucking so many of them. The fresh out of college bros, the early 30s dudes who've been planning this trip for years, but finally were able to get away from their longtime girlfriends or new wives. The old guys who've been doing this for 20 years. The Chads who all interned at Goldman Sachs and came out to drink far too much. The dad who convinced his family it would be fun to go and then wandered off by himself at the end of the first game to get smothered, and now he's wandering around the strip with a dead phone and can't walk straight at 5 p.m. All the bros with their fanny packs strapped across their chest. The sheer volume of these guys was staggering. I mean, I was blown away, literally blown away at the number of them. Every sports book packed, just absolutely packed. And it kind of was a bit surprising to me because obviously in that environment, there's people representing different schools. And it's not as if it's like 5 years ago where you had to go to fucking Vegas to gamble on all this stuff. You can, in a lot of places now, you can sit there and do it on your phone. So it's the environment more than the actual gambling, I think. I could be dead wrong. I don't know. But the camaraderie, if you will, of gathering with your fellow college sports lovers as you watch the unpaid kids dribble a basketball for your pleasure and for the pockets of the administration. An odd dynamic, really. But, all in all, good time. Got to eat In-N-Out twice, which was nice. Pro tip, you have to get your fries well done. You have to. Because if you don't, they're going to be soggy as fuck. Now, animal style fries, the only thing that animal style fries will do is just coagulate. If you can't get them like fresh, if the place is too busy, you can't go animal style. Because the cheese coagulates by the time you get your food. Because the fries are always done first. So, pro tip. But it was awesome. I mean, if you know me, you know how much I enjoy In-N-Out. Love it. My favorite fast food. But I ate like such shit last week. Just not good. Drank a lot, ate like shit. Not a good combo. And I've gained, like I said, about 15 pounds, and I feel like garbage. Still feel like garbage. And here it is fucking Wednesday night that I'm recording this crap. We also got most of the party got food poisoning at a hot dog joint in Old Vegas. Not ideal by any stretch of the imagination. 4:30 wake ups, like, whoop. Gotta go see a man about a horse. What else? What else about Vegas? Anything quirky? No, not really. Tough place to watch a soccer game when you're there and during the tournament, because forget it, just not possible. Wanted to watch the second leg of West Ham's Europa League draw. Tie is the word I'm looking for. And no dice. Ended up having to watch it on my phone, which is kind of a bummer. But what can you do? What can you do? Not much, right? Or, as some people would say, oh, maybe you could stop watching fucking soccer. I saw a very interesting article today on Boston.com. The headline, Northampton high school principal relieved of duties after calling students, quote, asshats, end quote. Well, of course, I needed to find out what exactly caused this principal to call students asshats. And I read through the article, and then some follow up to it. But more or less, the way that the story goes is that the principal was upset. Not so much upset, but apparently the high school student union were upset about a freshman sophomore honors class being blended with a non-honors math class. That was the gripe that the student union had with the school that caused the principal to call them asshats. They don't really go into detail as to what exactly was causing, what made them so upset about this change. But apparently, it had something to do with they weren't that the student union or the students themselves weren't really consulted about the change, which blew my fucking mind. And apparently their gripe there's more to it than this, but it's not outlined in anything that I've read, because there has to be more to it than just the principal calling them asshats. There has to be, because it just makes no fucking sense to me. There's a quote from one of a senior student. Been trying to talk and work with her for years now, and we have gotten nothing in return from her. That is so fucking vague, it's ridiculous. And then, quote, so at this point, I feel like the students can't. Oh, Jesus Christ. Let's rewind. Quote, so at this point, I think the students feel like we cannot trust Principal Valancourt, end quote. Vague, horribly vague. And it's just needy fucking kids. And this is the problem with kids. I don't like them. Northampton. In the opinion of most non-Hamptonites, I would venture a guess that calling someone an asshat isn't the most vile of insults. However, this isn't the case, as the principal has been fired. And I'm at a loss, to be perfectly honest. Sure, calling kids names is not the best thing for a principal to do. Fine. Reprimand the principal, suspend them, something. But you're literally going to fire a high school principal, which I'm sure is not the most ideal place to work or job to have. It's just fucking ridiculous. I knew nothing of Northampton aside from it being next to Amherst and Holyoke, or in that sort of general neck of the nape. And so again, I assumed that there was more to the story. And I was trying like hell to find it. Like, there needs to be something else here, right? There needs to be something more than a principal calling kids names. Because there is no fucking, you cannot tell me that every single teacher on the planet doesn't call their fucking kids way worse than asshat. But the more I dug into it, the less I could find. Part of it is, dumb paywalls from news sources. I did air quotes there. You can't see it because I'm not on camera. I'm talking into a microphone. Ugh. And whatever, that's fine. You need to make money. I get it. What I did find is that the comment itself, the word asshat, was culled from a 267-page compilation of administrative messages released by a former school committee member who received the materials in response to a public records request. I'm thinking, again, that there's going to be more to that because, one, why is this former school committee member looking for something? Because obviously there's an axe to grind here, but they're leaving that part out. And then the other part is, of the 267 pages of notes, the worst thing you could find is that she called the kids asshats. Really? Really? That's the worst you could find? Well, apparently that was enough. Because the student body of Northampton High School decided that they'd had enough and they were going to stage a walkout, which featured those quirky "Hi, my name is" stickers that said asshat. Ha, ha, ha. It actually is kind of clever. But guess what, kids? You are a bunch of fucking asshats. The one word in a 267-page compilation is what they're focusing on. Again, I have to ask, what about the rest of it? Why isn't the rest of that released? The context is entirely missing here, and this lady is losing a career over asshat. Should she have used the word? No. Let's get that out of the way, okay? That's a given. But would they have preferred assholes? Or fucking whiny little twats? Asshat is cheeky and funny, but these kids felt the need to stage a rally expressing their anger so they can make signs and smile for pictures, which they did because this Mass Live fucking article features pictures with a bunch of fucking kids like laughing and smiling with their stupid stickers on, saying, "Hey, I'm an asshat. Hello, I'm an asshat." Not all of them are smiling, and I'm sure there are some that have legitimate gripes, but again, we don't know what the fuck they are. We simply do not know. And that's my problem here because there's no context. It just says she called them asshats, and that's why she was fired. It's like, what? Huh? That can't be it. It just can't. But I mean, the more that I looked into it, the more, and like I said, I knew nothing about Northampton. I needed to find out a little bit about it. So, of course, what do? I go to Wikipedia, type in Northampton, and right there in the opening fucking paragraph, they mention that Northampton was once called the most liberal small city in America. And that answered a lot of questions. As someone who readily identifies as a liberal, it is getting harder and harder to be a rational liberal when shit like this passes as a problem. Being called an asshat. I mean, fucking get real. I mean, would you please, Northampton? Are there no bigger problems in that town? I'm guessing there is. But instead of focusing on that or focusing on larger problems within the entire world stage, right? If you want to be a real fucking weirdo, you could sit there and you could protest, I don't know, the invasion of a sovereign country on the other side of the planet. That's an actual problem. But nope, in Northampton, it's asshat. It's depressing. Honestly, it's really depressing. And this is probably the first time that I've ever really been angry with a protest. This is where the old group that I used to manage, American Group Against Groups, AG-AG. AG-AG would have been awesome here. Would have been fun. We might need to revive AG-AG just for shit like this. It is now time for everyone's favorite part of the show, where it's almost over. And as it is Thursday, it is time for 3 gripes. Yay! 3 gripes, yay! Show's almost over, yay! More likely the latter. If you've gotten this far, thank you. It's greatly appreciated as always. Gripe number 1. Hotel hallways. Where else would you encounter a person in a long, open / enclosed area? By yourself, right? In a one-on-one sitch, or 2-on-2, or 2-on-1. Think about it. Well, don't, I guess. But I mean, how many times are you walking to your room and suddenly another person appears? Like, what's the etiquette there? What do you do? You have to say something, right? If you don't, chances are that the other person will. How are you? Good afternoon. Sup? What do you do there? It's likely that there's going to be some sort of exchange, especially if it's one-on-one, because that's awkward, right? Yes, it is, David. It's fucking awkward. Wife and I were walking down the hall to our room on Thursday on St. Patrick's Day. We're both wearing, green tees. Green tee. I had a great green T-shirt of the Alabama Leprechaun. It said "Amateur Sketch." It was awesome. Loved it. I saw a handful of those. It's just so classic. It'll never not be funny. The Alabama Leprechaun. And as we're walking, there's another guy walking towards us, and he feels the need to say that he was also representing the day by wearing a green T-shirt. Oh, hey, thanks, buddy. But that's, I think the proper etiquette would be a polite "How are you?" or a "Good afternoon," as I said, not "sup." You can't say "sup." That's not good. You can't do that. It's just one of those awkward situations that you find yourself in occasionally, and you don't know what the fuck to do. Because again, like I said, if you say nothing, you're going to be looked at as, not so much antisocial, but rude, right? I don't know, maybe not. My guess is a lot of people won't give a fuck. I know I wouldn't give a fuck, but at the same time, it's weird. It's something is expected there. It's quiet. There's nobody else around. Just one of those things, right? Gripe number 2. This may have been a past gripe, but I'm approaching 2 years with this fucking stupid program, and I can't recall some of the shit that I've talked about before, but groups with matching T-shirts. I'm willing to bet that there is no greater radius of groups with matching T-shirts, with more groups with matching T-shirts than Las Vegas, Nevada. That is an absolute guarantee. because I saw fucking a ton of them. You had the guys that were all together for March Madness. A bunch of them had their own fucking tees. You had the bachelorette parties, you had the birthday parties, you had just like the girls' weekends, you had the fucking I don't know. Hey, we're a family. That's a good one. The hey, we're a family. All names, same color tee, names in the same color font and the same style font. Mom, dad, son. What was the other one? Like the Cat in the Hat, like thing 1 and thing 2, but it was like drunk 1 and drunk 2, drunk 3, all the way up to fucking 6. Same color. It's like, what the fuck are you doing here? I understand like dressing in a color scheme, okay? That I get. But the matching t-shirt thing, I don't. I don't see the need for it when you're in a public setting, right? So there are times when you go to a golf tournament and you get a t-shirt or a hat. That's fine. Because not everyone is putting on the t-shirt or the hat right there and then. Some people certainly do. I find them weird. You don't need to advertise where you are when you're there. Although that that doesn't really work. So you could say you're wearing like a Patriots hat at a Patriots game. Nah, not the same thing. But the amount of effort, the amount of time and effort that goes into matching t-shirts, because like you have to have that discussion with the group, right? Well, okay, we're making t-shirts this year, guys. What are we gonna do? Well, I mean, look, broads love doing shit like that for some weird fucking reason. I don't know why. I don't understand that. It's a thing that I don't get. Mainly because I'm not a broad. Still a funny word. I'm sorry. But yeah, it's the matching t-shirt thing needs to go. You don't need to do it. It's not necessary. Gripe number 3. And honestly, this sort of flies in the face of literally everything that I've done, again, over the course of the past 2 years or so. Opinions. You don't have to have an opinion about everything. And I read this not too long ago. I get these emails, the Daily Stoic, this author, Ryan Holiday, interesting guy, a bit, I don't want to call him snooty because I don't think that's it. He comes across as a bit of a know-it-all. But I mean, other than that, I don't dislike the guy. But one of the things that he has said is that you don't need to have an opinion about everything. There's a lot of stuff that you can just ignore, or you can, listen, internalize, and be done with it. Social media has made it so very easy to comment on every single little fucking thing that's going on, or even is perceived to be going on, or whatever else. Which makes having an actual informed opinion a lot more difficult than just spewing out a bunch of shit randomly on Facebook and watching others give you the old thumbs up or come back at you with equally uninformed shit. Because spending the time to formulate an educated and informed opinion just doesn't happen very often. Case in point, this whole like transgender bill, transgender athlete bill thing that's been going on, literally in multiple places across the country. It's one of these things that I've tried not to have an opinion on, okay? For a multitude of reasons, one of which is the percentage of these people is minuscule in the grand scheme of the population of the United States. The number of self-identified transgendered people is less than 1% of the population, and it could be anywhere from 0.5 to 0.7%. So you're looking at 0.5% to 0.75% of the country. That is an absurdly small number of people, none of which are causing anybody fucking any problems whatsoever. They're just trying to live their fucking lives. So I didn't have an opinion. I do now. But I just think it's a massive waste of time. And it's funny because the reason that this popped up is that the governor of Utah, of all people, vetoed a bill that was put on his desk, passed by the Utah legislature, to ban transgender athletes. And his point was like, are we really fucking doing this? He's like, there are 4. He said 4 transgendered youths playing high school sports. 4. He's like, what are we doing here? Why can't we just let these kids fucking live? And it made perfect sense. Like, it's nothing but a fucking giant scare tactic. And it's stupid. But for some reason, everybody has to have a fucking opinion about it. Like, who the fuck cares? I mean, look, I'm sure that small percentage of the population care, and rightfully so, they should, because it affects them. But the 99% of the country, they don't need to have an opinion. And if they do, it's just because somebody's telling them to. Life tends to be more calm when you don't take the time to do anything on a particular subject. It's okay. The earth will continue to rotate without you providing nonsense to anything and everything. Just stop. And I say that as the host of a terrible podcast talking about opinions and making opinions about everything. Not everything. It's not, and that's the thing. It's not everything. Somebody said that to me today on the tweet machine. It's kind of ironic coming from a podcast who talks, complains, and observes about everything. Well, it's not everything. Because I don't know everything. I don't know everything that's going on. Not to mention, this is a completely frivolous, nonsensical thing here. And on that note, the show's over. That's the end of the show. I hope you've managed to hang in there for the entire 50 plus minutes of the episode, because I've managed to stay awake, which is a plus. For some reason, I'm fucking gassed today. I did nothing today. Literally. I made a handful of phone calls, sent a couple of emails, didn't sell a fucking thing, but I'm gassed. I don't fucking know. Go to the Instagram page at ComplaintsPod. Go to the Twitter page. Check it out at ComplaintsPod. I'd love to get more people involved in both social media things just to kind of chit-chat about dumb shit. On Twitter, it's mostly sports because that's all I really give a shit about. I'm trying not to get, again, I've mentioned this 1,000 times, but I'm trying not to make this an entirely sportsy podcast because, I don't know. I think again, I like to have opinions about fucking everything, right? Even more reason to just fucking focus on one thing is so that I don't have an opinion about everything. Take your own advice, David. You fucking fat dummy. You can call the show, leave a voicemail, 617-657. What's the phone number? 617-657-4736. 617-65-RIP-'em. Call in, leave a voicemail, please. If you want to be on the show, oh, fuck, that reminds me. I was supposed to invite my soccer buddies on. Talk about soccer. Oof, blew that one. Well, the international break for the next 2 weeks, so that the timing doesn't work. What else? You can go to the Facebook page, but fuck Facebook. I have a YouTube page I don't do anything with. I have a Twitch channel I don't do anything with. I have a blog that I haven't written a blog about or a blog post for in weeks. So I'm not going to tell you to fucking check that out. You can go to the website, though, if you want, complaintsandobservations.com. Check that. There's nothing on there. You can go to my merch store and buy a tee. Check that out. What else can you do? Yeah, take a nap if you want. You can do that. You can have a beverage, adult beverage, if you want to do that. Depending on the time of day, of course, or what you're doing. If you're at work, don't be drinking at work. It's very uncouth. But yeah, that'll do. Thank you. Please, as always, tell your friends, tell your moms. This is the hashtag World's Worst Podcast. So take care of yourself, take care of each other. Godspeed. Ta-ta.